Adventure. New experiences. Over the next few years, I began to have new experiences, openings, a growing awareness that did not fit into my former rational framework. In college, I studied psychology and got involved in some encounter groups and sensitivity training groups that, in addition to allowing me to release old emotional pain, led me to new feelings of love, joy, and oneness with all. I studied dance and discovered that when I was dancing, I would often have an exhilarating feeling as if. Introduction 7. LIL Quark FM January 22, 8:42 AM Page 7. Some higher force had taken over and was moving me in an abandoned and thrilling way. I had always been interested in Eastern philosophy, so I read books about Buddhism and Hinduism. I practiced yoga and meditation and found that they helped me feel more centered, relaxed, and in tune with myself. After graduating from college, I spent 2 years traveling around the world, living for several months in India, where I gained a deep awareness of the Eastern mystical tradition. My travels were a powerful experience for me because with little money and no real plans, I lived by following my intuition. I had set off originally for a vacation in Italy and ended up making a 2-year journey around the world. I learned that I could live happily with virtually no possessions and move safely into unknown places. This was one of my earliest experiences of the synergistic things that happen when we trust our inner guidance and follow the flow of our energy. Getting conscious. When I returned to the United States, I was hooked on something called consciousness. I couldn't have defined what it was, but I knew that I wanted more of it, and that for me, nothing else mattered as much as my process of personal growth. I felt that if I pursued external goals such as career, money, or relationships, they would ultimately feel empty, whereas if I devoted myself to my own development, I would ultimately have the things that my heart desired, such as loving relationships, meaningful work, and 8. Living in the light. LIL Quark FM January 22, 8:42 AM Page 8. Sense of abundance, and that it would all come about in a more satisfying way. I was motivated not only by my yearning to find greater fulfillment in my own life, but by a strong desire to make a contribution toward positive change in the world and in other people's healing and happiness. I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, which I recognized as the forefront of the so-called human potential movement, and plunged into the earnest pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, healing, and transformation. I took classes and workshops, avidly read new books, meditated, and talked constantly to others involved in the same process. After reading Handbook to Higher Consciousness by Ken Keyes, I went to live at his center in Berkeley, where we worked on our growth intensely day and night for a year. After that, I continued to live communally for several years with others who were involved in an intensive personal development process. During this time, I did whatever I could to make enough money to live on. Housework, office work, odds and ends, while I focused on my real work. Since that time, over 25 years ago, my life has been dedicated to my growth and evolution as a conscious being. I gradually came to understand that becoming more conscious meant becoming more aware of all that was taking place within me and around me, how my inner world affected my outer world and vice versa. I realized that the more awareness I have, the more choice I have in how I create or respond to the circumstances of my life. When we are relatively unconscious, we simply do what we've. Introduction 9. LIL Quark FM January 22, 8:42 AM Page 9. Always done, not realizing there is any other way. As we gradually become more aware, we begin to recognize that other options exist, and we can make other choices in how we live. At first, I imagined that this process involved a straight line from A to B, A being the darkness of ignorance, and B being full enlightenment. The goal was to move from A to B as directly as possible. If we were dedicated and fortunate enough to achieve enlightenment, we would have completed the process. We would be radiant beings, always filled with light, love, and wisdom. Eventually, I understood that consciousness is an ever-unfolding, deepening, and expanding process with no end point. We are infinite and complex beings, and our human journey involves not just a spiritual awakening, but the development of all levels of our being: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, and the integration of all these aspects into a healthy and balanced daily life. I'm getting ahead of myself, however, so back to my story. My name. People often ask me about my name, so I thought I'd pause here and tell you about it. While in India, I became very fascinated with the Hindu religion and began to study it. I had not been raised as a Christian, and that religion had never held much interest for me. I liked some of the ideas in Buddhism a lot, but it seemed a bit intellectual to me. The myths, symbols, and deities in the Hindu religion touched. 10 Living in the Light. Lil Quark FM January 22, 8:42 AM page 10. Me in a deeper place in my soul. It is a very complex religion, and I don't even pretend to understand it, but I grasped a few things. In the Hindu religion, there is a trinity of three main deities that symbolize three aspects of life. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer. Shiva represents the constant changing of the universe, the fact that everything must constantly be destroyed in order to be reborn. He reminds us that we must constantly let go of everything we hold on to, in order to flow with the motion of life. Many of his fervent devotees give up home and possessions and wander freely, abandoning themselves to following and trusting the energy of the universe. Shiva is also known as Nataraj, the Lord of the Dance, literally, the Lord of Rhythm. They say that it is his dance that keeps the universe in motion. He is depicted as a very beautiful and powerful man with 11. Lil Quark FM January 22, 8:42 AM page 11. I realized how powerful the name was, but I certainly realize it now. I feel that the vibration of the name has helped me to emerge into my power. Gawain is the last name I was born with. It is the same name as Sir Gawain in the King Arthur legends. According to one dictionary definition, it means battle hawk, which I think is a wonderful image. To me, Shakti represents my feminine aspect and Gawain, my masculine aspect. Creative visualization. One of the earliest workshops I took was the Silva Mind Control course. At that time, I was still rather skeptical about this sort of thing and probably would never have gone to it except that my mother had taken the course and highly recommended it to me. I will never forget her description of a technique in which you can imagine what you want to have happen, and it will very often come about. My mind felt doubtful about this, but my heart made a leap, and I remember thinking, ever since I was a child, I always knew that there was magic, that somehow, somewhere, magic really exists. This sounds like the closest thing to it that I have ever heard of. I took the course and I was amazed. We started slowly and easily with simple techniques that anyone could accept and do, and gradually, we worked our way into more unexplainable, but very powerful processes. After 5 days, I had a strong psychic experience.